So warriors, always in the trenches, right? I suppose that's a substantial part of who we are. So I guess we just move forward with it. Today I want to briefly talk about the nature of warrior-centric economic shot calling for transitioning veterans. I'm always bringing up this transition issue. I like to start off or preface my brief conversation this morning with some of the numbers that I saw when I transitioned out back in 2013. So around the time that I left active service in 2013, I began to more clearly observe the direct impacts of our warrior, quote unquote, active duty to civilian life transition reality. To start, the census report of the following year indicated that there was approximately 21.8 million veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces, up from reported 21.4 million the year of my separation. That year, the U.S. population consisted of about 318.6 million Americans. Highlights from 2013 data provided by the VA and the BLS further indicated that there were approximately 722,000 unemployed veterans. Reports varied on homeless. However, many indicated upwards of approximately 300,000 homeless veterans on any given night. And the BLS, that's Bureau of Labor Statistics. In 1988, the number was reported to approximately be 600,000 jobless veterans warriors. That's crazy, isn't it? Honestly, whether those numbers are perfectly correct to me is totally irrelevant. What does matter is that the numbers exist at all. And that's just our demographic. My heart goes out to the general population experiencing these hardships as well. But since the standard for provisions of often apparently random data has already been established depending on the leadership and other representatives' priorities to meet some political end or another, let's generically categorize this issue and place it, hypothetically now, into societal wealth categories for perspective's sake. For strictly illustrative purposes, let's just say that 1% to 5% are in a position to pass down generational wealth. Now that's $5 million and above, leaving their families, for argument's sake, in healthy financial standing. Now, 15%, which is our middle class, live comfortably, meaning generating earnings ranging from $50,000 to $200,000 a year, and are in a position to provide infrastructure to educate their youth, which in turn subsequently develop their own middle class standing. And then there's the 80% group who characteristically have to work throughout retirement age and or subsidize their lifestyle with government assistance or by families' inputs or contributions, and oftentimes both. A number of variables often coincide with this category, to include levels of financial education and understanding, money behaviors, psychological impacts for years of socio-economic grooming, etc. This format, although overly simplified, oftentimes seems to be the general contribution of wealth, distribution of wealth in our nation. As with any format, there are pros and cons, notable impacts, and even consequences. At any rate, the top two groups generally establish the parameters and priorities for a demographic, some more than others, wouldn't you say? Let's just say this, for argument's sake, that the top one of the top 20 call the shots industrially. Now get this, even though the 80% group is more than capable of achieving status of either group, most often due to the lack of know-how or resources, they rarely do. This is where the development of human capital comes into play. Now, I've talked to you guys about this briefly on a number of occasions. I want to bring it to your attention again. Education, training, refining our values and actions to reflect our true priorities. This is wealth in itself, guys, ladies. We have to embrace this, especially going forward. I was talking to you yesterday about how we tend to get closer to the problem, where the average person run away from the problem. We get closer to it. This is our mechanism. This is the mechanism we use to develop our wealth, our skills, our value set. So let's take a structured view of what the transition process involved, analyzing the basic nature of our transition decisions, and organizing the activities in our transition decision process. What is the trade-off between our expectations for transition and risks associated with creating and developing infrastructure in order to accomplish our transition objectives successfully? These reside among the concepts we should soon consider collectively. I would imagine that we could begin with the evaluation of our transition options and the management of those options and their unique characteristics, as well as the infrastructures needed to sustain acceptable transitions. For instance, focusing commonly on our generally optimistic hopes and dreams for our families, our communities, as well as the overall economy, to include retirement age and or convalescent considerations. We got to make sure we get all the considerations in order for us to accurately assess what the situation is and to come up with a viable solution. Our respective belief in developing and or sustaining our desired wage earning capacity for good jobs, and solidifying stable housing situation, as well as addressing our immediate healthcare needs. You've heard me say this many times. I won't stop, can't stop, and these are just to say the very least. I'm talking to the people that don't need help as a function of getting to and affecting change among the people that do. We need a unified, warrior-centric infrastructure for transitioning veterans, y'all. The result of continuing to not have one resides in the numbers. I mean 722,000, 300,000, which sadly and ultimately continue to speak for themselves. And I don't care, like I said, if those numbers are off. One veteran that's homeless, one veteran that's jobless. That's a problem for me, and I know it's a problem for y'all. No one can do it alone, and those that feel that they can are most often standing on the shoulders of someone or some group that facilitated and inspired them to receive such a benefit and blessed feeling. Paying the benefit forward to our warrior demographic is a sound investment indeed. Heck, y'all give me the hammer, and this country boy will nail it in. All right, y'all, I have to get back to feeding these animals. Until next time, bye now.